Welcome to TJ Talks. We are live today. How's everyone doing? So last night I went to Field of Terror. Great attraction, great haunted attraction you could ever go to. It's one of the best ones I've seen all year, all October, and I'm ready to do more. So on today's show, I'm going to be reviewing Stranger Things. Now, if you don't know what Stranger Things is, I suggest you probably don't have Netflix, don't have internet, live under a rock, or you just don't watch TV. But I'll tell you one thing, get Netflix and watch Stranger Things. It's one of the best shows out there. It consists of 8 episodes. It's on Netflix. It premiered July 15th of this year, and it's one of the best shows you could ever do. And the theme song tops it all off, because this is how the theme song goes. Has that creepy feel to it. The show stars Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Mastaro, Caleb McLaughlin, Natalie Dyer, Charlie Heaton, and just the cast is amazing. So the show takes place in 1983, and it has that 80s feel. And it starts out with Mike Wheeler, Dustin and Lucas and Will all playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's around nighttime and Will goes home. So Dustin, Lucas, and Will all, ride their bikes home, and Will departs and goes away, and he goes missing. And just from the beginning, everybody's just looking for him. His mom's looking for him, his brother's looking for him. And it's just craziness that goes on in this series. I mean, it's one of the best series ever. Then they discover a girl named 11 who her head's shaved. It's just oh my god, it's one of the best shows ever. She's a girl with psychic abilities, and she's just really crazy. I mean, I can't really say much about the show because I don't want to spoil it. The show is so good. It's hard to talk about it because I don't want to spoil the show. It's fairly new, and I suggest people who haven't watched the show, you have to watch the show. It's a great show. You are going to really have a good time. If you're like me and watch a lot of old movies, you got to watch it. It's one of the best shows ever. It has that 80s feel to it. It kind of reminds me of E.T. and Steven Spielberg's movies. They have a lot of 80s music in the show, and just the characters are awesome. I mean, I never had a show where I cared so much about the characters besides The Walking Dead. I never had a show that I cared about the characters so much in my life besides this show, because this show is one of the best shows ever. I've binged watched it on my vacation in August, and I saw the show and I loved it. I mean, it's just nuts, and it's it's spooky. It's not really spooky. It's a thriller type, technically. But if you like old 80s movies, and if you want to get a feel for the 80s, this show is for you. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna spoil it a lot, but I mean, it's just a great show. They go around trying to find Will. And the episodes are breaked out in chapters. So chapter 1 is the vanishing of Will Byers. So, like I said, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. They all go home. Will takes an alternative route and gets, he just vanishes. And then comes in 11 in the second episode. Well, the first episode. And then, they finally realize her name is 11. And she's trying to, not be found by one of the villains of the show called Dr. Martin Brenner, who's a scientist at Hawkins Laboratory, and he's the one who experiments on 11. And I think it turns out that 11, or Dr. Martin's daughter, is 11. I think they're related somehow, but he just, it's just a great show. I'm just suggesting you have to wait, you just have to watch the show. There also is another antagonist in the show named Steve, who bullies Will Byers' brother, Charlie Heaton, who happens to be Jonathan Byers. Him and Will get into an altercation in the show. And then, if you want to hear spoiler, Steve redeems himself towards the end of the show, which is also really good. And I mean, the show kind of like makes me, it kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I should go back in high school because they're all in high school and middle school, and it's just a great show. You gotta watch the show. I mean, a lot of my friends who watch Netflix or had Netflix have watched the show, and the show is fucking awesome. I mean, it's just so good. You just have to watch it. It's too good not to be watched. And it's coming on again back in July next year, so that's what I'm waiting for. Stranger Things season 2. It's going to be a great show. I mean, that's one show like everybody should watch because it's one of the best. And I don't want to spoil it because it's not an old movie. It's a fairly new TV show that came out like 4 months ago, and it's just something you have to watch. I'm telling you. Like I said, Stranger Things, I don't really have much to say about it, except it's a great show. There are no flaws in the show. I mean, the characters, the actors are really good. Everything else, just nothing else to do. There's nothing else to say. Just, the show is great. Actors are good. The episodes are good. The Duffer Brothers did a great job making it feel 80, making it feel like like it's in the 80s scenes. And the Duffer Brothers actually created the show too. Duffer Brothers, they're the ones who did the show. So watch that. Watch Stranger Things, and look up the Duffer Brothers because they actually did. They're doing another show called Wayward Pines, but that's like something weird. I don't know about that. But yeah, Stranger Things, great show. I've talked about it in a past video with Ryan once before, but yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Just look up Stranger Things, one of the best shows ever. If you don't have the series or you don't have Netflix, get it. Pay the $7.99 a month. Who cares? I would just watch Stranger Things, one of the best shows ever. So I'm TJ, and I did promise I'd do horror reviews all October long. I mean, even though I took last night off and just did a little live video of me at Fear of Terror, and I guess I could do one horror movie. Stranger Things isn't horror. It's just more. It's more thriller, supernatural, mystery. I guess I could review one more movie. Let's go with Friday the 13th. Fun fact of the day. I was born on Friday the 13th. And Friday the 13th is basically everybody knows what Friday the 13th is. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Friday the 13th is. Friday the 13th came out in 1980. It's about it's really about kids, teenagers going into the woods, you know. They're going to set up a camp for campers to come in, and they get murdered off one by one. Friday the 13th was created by Sean S. Cunningham, and it takes place in the woods, Camp Crystal Lake in Voorhees, Pennsylvania. So basically, 1958, two camp counselors go into a vacant cabin where they can go have sex, and then, nevertheless, they hear someone coming. They look around and say, "Oh, we weren't doing anything." They get stabbed. So, 21 years later, so I guess 1958, that would be 1979, 1980. This girl named Annie walks into town, asks where Camp Crystal Lake is. Everyone's saying it's cursed, so she hitchhikes with one guy and he drives her to a certain point. 3 more campers arrive to the camp, and they're up fixing the place. And there's this guy on a bicycle they call Crazy Al. And Crazy Al is really effed up in the head. He's really nuts. And he's just saying it's cursed, it's a death wish. It's a great series. So every now and then you'll see the killer lurking around the trees. And it's just really crazy. And Friday the 13th is basically the most unlucky day of the year, pretty much. And I was born on that day in January. So anyways, they're all getting killed off. And the one main character, Alice, I'm sorry. Alice is one of the main characters in the movie, and she actually is one of the camp counselors who is trying to fix up the place. So all of Alice's friends get killed, and it turns out, spoiler alert, Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, is the killer. So many people don't know that. In the first original Friday the 13th, Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. So Alice basically beheads her, and if you follow me on Instagram or Snapchat, you would have saw the beheading scene earlier. She beheads her and she dies. And then in the ending scene of Friday the 13th, Jason comes up. Alice is on a canoe. She, canoes out to the lake. She sees cops and she's leaning over the canoe, and Jason comes up as a decapitated child, decaying child, pulls her up and, pulls her down into the lake. That's what's Friday the 13th. Now, Friday the 13th Part 2, yes. Friday the 13th Part 2 basically tells the story of different camp counselors, and Alice is the only returning character in the film, but she gets killed off fairly early in the film. And then we have new characters, and the new characters in the film are kind of well, not really ditzy, but most of them are. And then there's one Joker in the film who tries to scare them all when one of the characters is telling the story about Jason Voorhees being in the lake and drowning. And the second film just basically tells the story about how Jason's the killer now, and he's just off killing many people too. Which, great film. I mean, Friday the 13th 1 and 2 are like this setup of each film, and it's really awesome how it is and how it's like cinemized and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, just did a little review of that. Also, Friday the 13th had a TV series too, and Jason didn't star in it, nor did his mother, nor did any of the characters star in the show. But yeah, I mean, just 3 little mini reviews I did. But like I said, watch Stranger Things and watch Friday the 13th, because those are really good flicks. So I'm done for today, and yeah, peace out.